mentioned that the Great 100 Nurses of North Carolina have just been released, and we're going to talk about that right now with the head of nursing for all of ECU Health, ECU's first chief nursing executive, Trish Baise, live in the studio this morning. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
All right, let's get this out of the way, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Let's end the suspense. Out of the top 100 nurses, how many did ECU Health have?
ECU Health has 13 nurses that are going to be recognized as part of the Great 100.
How about that for the whole state?
Fabulous, yes.
That is fantastic. All right, we're going to come back and talk about that, but let me get to know you a little bit first.
Sure.
Thank you for coming in. Well, I was just asking about your background. You're the first nursing executive. Mm-hmm. We've never had one before. I mean, have we had like a head nurse or something?
So each of the hospitals has an individual that functions as their chief nurse. That's part of our requirement at hospitals. But we've not had one at the health system level that really represents and advocates for nurses across the entire health system. So all 9 hospitals, 150 clinics. So it's a new position for ECU Health and really demonstrates their investment in nursing and the future for nursing here at ECU Health.
Well, good for you. I'm a big proponent of nurses. I have a house full of them. I have a wife and a daughter that went through the nursing school at ECU, and so we have a strong affinity for what you guys do and appreciate you very much. And you, we were just chatting before we went on the air here. You used to be one of the nurses on the helicopters.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is that how you got your start?
Well, I got my start actually many years ago as a paramedic, and worked on the ambulance, worked on the helicopter, and worked with some really fabulous nurses who said you need to go back to nursing school. Went back to nursing school, continued to fly, work in the emergency department, in the cardiovascular ICU, and my first leadership position was as the director of the flight program, and then have loved every job I've ever had in nursing and been blessed to be able to be a part of some really great teams.
Did I hear recently we now have 6 helicopters?
Yeah, absolutely.
And 6 helicopters.
One of, if not the busiest flight program in the country.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I mean, ECU Health is so amazing. People have no idea. Mm-hmm. They have no idea. I mean, it's literally one of the, I think last time Brian Floyd was on, he said it was 13th largest hospital in the country.
Absolutely, yeah. And covering an area the size of the state of Maryland. So
right. Yeah, pretty amazing. I've always thought it would be fascinating to be a nurse on or someone who did medical care on a hospital on a helicopter, but mm-hmm. I would imagine you see some pretty bad things.
Yeah, but I think you're also very fortunate. You take care of the sickest of the sick, the most injured of the injured. Everyone's always very happy to see you, and you get to see the world from a perspective that most people never get to.
So let's talk about the Great 100 mm-hmm. nurses.
Absolutely.
Who designates these nurses?
So there's an organization within North Carolina called the Great 100, and they take nominations from all over the state. They receive thousands of nominations every year, and through a very strict criteria, they grade those nominations and recognize just 100 nurses in North Carolina each year, and there are over 100,000 nurses in North Carolina. So it's a select and elite group that is recognized.
I tell Brian and Mike Waldron this all the time, but every experience I've ever had at ECU Health, Vidant before that, has just been so positive. And I've talked about this before, so I'm not letting anything new out here, but my mom passed away in January, and she died in palliative care at ECU Health, and it was just as emotional as it was for us. It was just an incredible experience because of the nurses. The nurses at ECU Health are just a special breed of people, particularly up there on that unit. I don't know if any of those girls made it, but they all should have. But let's talk about the Great 100. Who are they? Who made it from ECU?
Absolutely. Well, I can share their names if you'd like.
I'd love to hear them. Yeah.
Okay. So Elizabeth Brabble, who goes by Ann, from Roanoke Chowan Hospital. Dana Byram. She is actually our chief nurse at ECU Health Chowan Hospital.
I know her.
She's wonderful.
And my mother was at Chowan before she got transferred to Greenwood. I think Donna was involved.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Lindsay Cadell from the Medical Center, Elaine Henry from the Medical Center, Donnie Johnson from the Medical Center, Jennifer Kendrick with ECU Health, Katie Knowles with Duplin Hospital, Kimberly Lupton with the Medical Center, Emily Knock with the Medical Center, Chelsea Owens, she goes by Alex with ECU Health Medical Center, Kiera Slade, Rhiannon Stallings, and Jenny Wester.
Well, congratulations to all 13. 13 of the top 100 nurses in the Great 100 this year coming from ECU Health. Back to my experience with the nurses at ECU, I just love them and what they did for my mom and our family the whole time they were up there. And I was bringing them donuts and sandwiches and all that stuff. But, there were a couple of them that I really wanted to do something special for after my mom died, and they wouldn't let me. I'm like, give me your home address. I'm going to send you a gift card to a restaurant. And they wouldn't do it. They were like, no, this is, it was our honor to take care of your mother and your family. It was our honor. And they would not let me give them something when I left there. And I thought, man, what a great bunch of human beings up there.
Absolutely.
Really good people. And I'm sure that's the case across the hospital.
Absolutely. And I think that's the great thing about this program in particular is it gives us an opportunity to recognize nurses for those things that we don't all get to see, right? You experienced it as part of your family. And oftentimes one of the most important things we can do is be able to provide that transition, right? We may not be able to heal or cure someone, but that experience for your family made all the difference in the world, but we don't always get to see those things. So through this nomination process, we get to hear about those stories and really understand the impact that our nursing team has. It's usually in those quiet moments. It's at 3 a.m. holding the hand of a scared patient who doesn't have family there with them. It's shepherding someone through a difficult time in transition. It's being at 1,000 feet with somebody who's just sustained a terrible injury. It's those moments that most of us will never get to see or be there with them in that moment, but the impact that they have can last generations in terms of how a family feels about something that they've had to endure during a challenging time or sometimes even a really great time as we shepherd in new life.
Well, I tell you, I keep talking about my recent experience, but the nurses there just became our advocate, and they just did an unbelievable job. What is this? Having 13 of the top 100, the Great 100 nurses in North Carolina just named? What does that mean for ECU Health and for our community?
I think it speaks to the quality of the nurses and the nursing care here. If you think about 100,000 nurses across North Carolina, we have 4,000 at ECU Health. So we represent 4% of the nurses in the state employed here within our health system, but we represent 13% of the nurses recognized as part of this program. That says a lot. It says a lot about the quality of the nurses that we have here, the professionalism of the nurses we have here, as well as, quite frankly, the community support for our nursing team that these nominations were sent in to recognize them. And this is just a portion of those that were actually submitted and nominated. We don't know how many were actually nominated.
Who can nominate?
Any number of people can nominate, so it can come from coworkers, it can come from supervisors, it can come from the community. So they open up. So
anyone can nominate.
They open that up each year.
I wish I'd known.
The 1st of January, they'll open up that nomination process again for next year.
Well, ECU Health nurses are so good and so unique. Why are they unique, by the way? What makes ECU nurses so good? Does it have a lot to do with our great ECU nursing program here? I know a lot of them come from other areas, but
yeah, I think part of it's the training program, part of it's the culture and the community, but I think at the end of the day, it's community and a connection to purpose. We're caring for our family members, we're caring for our neighbors, we're caring for the people that we go to church with, that we see in the grocery store, and there's an incredible sense of commitment and purpose, knowing that we're serving in a very large geographical area, often where we are the only care from a medical perspective in that community, and we know how important that is,
Yeah.
and that we make that difference. And I think the connection to purpose here for our nurses is something very unique about ECU Health.
Well, congratulations to these 13 very deserving nurses. And congratulations to you on being the first nursing executive for ECU Health. You're obviously very impressive and very capable. So it's great to have you in here this morning. Anything I didn't ask that you want to mention?
No, I think you covered it all. We're just excited to celebrate them and looking forward to many, many years ahead of increased representation of our ECU Health nurses within those awardees.
Thanks for coming in. It's great to meet you.
You as well.
Trish Baise, the first ever nursing executive for all of ECU Health. And again, congratulations to the 13 ECU nurses that were named in the top Great 100 here just recently for ECU.